there's not much to really disagree with or discuss with on our next film, because this is just, let's face it, straight up Homer. Not Homer like me being a Homer, it's a home run. This movie is on digital October 19th. Escape from Mogadishu, based on a true story. Here's a plot synopsis. As civil war rages in Mogadishu, rival North and South Korean diplomats are left trapped in their respective embassies. With no aid from either government, their only shot at survival may require uniting with better adversaries to escape.
드디어 대통령 변상, 대한민국 역사적인 유행 가입 승진.
I, General Aidid of the United Somali Congress, address the embassies of each nation.
우리 고립된 거예요.
우리 이런 상황 서울 본부에서는 아예 모르고 있는 거겠죠?
Basically, North Korea, South Korea, they all want some kind of political connection over in Mogadishu. They're trying to jostle it. They're obviously rivals. But when push comes to shove and when the civil war rages, it's all about survival. And maybe the North Korean and South Korean contingent might have to band together to escape out of Mogadishu alive. Again, on digital, October 19th. Eric Holmes, let's start with you. This movie is at least 2 hours. Was it worth all that time for you?
I didn't realize it was 2 hours. felt like an hour and 10 minutes. It just kind of flew by for me. This was a really good movie. I guess the probably thing you would compare it to most would be like Argo, maybe. I almost want to say Quo Vadis Aida. It's got the same setup, definitely not the same tone, because Quo Vadis Aida is like really, really a bummer. And this one gets there, but also goes Michael Bay sometimes, which is kind of a, when it gets political, it gets political, it gets serious. When it gets harrowing and oh no, someone's gonna get hurt, you're like on the like, oh shit, what happened? Who's gonna get shot? And then when it goes on full on action scenes where they got the camera flipping around the car, going through the bullet hole into the other car, flipping around, it's like, this is a fucking Spielberg movie? What the hell is going on? So this movie's kind of all over the place, but it kind of worked. And how
did they get all those people on the streets? How did they do that? How the heck did they get all those dogs? That's nice. That's amazing. Did you like the spectacle of it, Eric?
Yeah,
as far as the
it was it kind of, I thought it was one thing, and then as it went on, it became another thing, and as it went on more, it became yet another thing, and then of course the ending. One problem I had, and this is a problem I have with people in general, so this is not a fall of the movie, this is the movie accurately reflecting how people act sometimes. All right, they're praying, let's hurry up and get in there. All right, let's give each other hugs and let's think about getting in the car, and guys, can we fucking move it? Like 2 minutes ago, like let's fucking like that. There's definitely a couple of parts where they're just kind of just taking their sweet time when the events in this movie don't really allow for that. You want to just get in and go, and so that part was kind of frustrating, but I wouldn't count that as a mark against a movie. I just count that as something that humans do sometimes. It really bugged the shit out of me.
Very cool. Yeah,
overall, this is a huge recommend. I wonder,
Eric, is that why you yell at me when I say, can we pray for 20 minutes before we start recording the podcast? And you just said, just get freaking going, Greg? Is that probably...
I would do that if someone was heading, okay, we got to hurry up and record this podcast before someone goes over to Greg's house and shoots him in the head. Now, if that was the case, I'd be saying, Greg, we don't have time for this. In fact, we
Very
shouldn't even
good.
be recording a podcast. You should just leave your house right now. But
Yeah.
here we are.
Very good point, Eric Greg. So yeah, so strong marks for you regarding Escape from Mogadishu.
Yeah, I should also mention that I think just with the action scenes and the fact that this is based on real events, I don't know if some people think this movie doesn't take it seriously enough. I think it does, but just the fact that the action scenes are so actiony, maybe, I don't know.
Eric, that's a great point. I was thinking the same thing. I felt like, hey, you know what? It's based on a true story, but it is also entertainment. And I think that I made peace with that. And Bruce, Eric brought something really interesting up. How do you feel about that? The fact that it is based on a true story, but the violence, the action is very adrenalized and ramped up. And maybe it is a sign of the times. It was a document of what was going on, but the way it was shot, it is shot like an action adventure film. Did you have a problem with that, or did you let go with that?
I let go with it. I think that's kind of the approach of the movie in general, because it starts out relatively light. Like this, once again, it's not Quo Vadis Aida, which is very heavy from start to finish. So I think that's the approach this whole movie takes. So I don't think that's, although I guess you could say when it does have the heavy stuff, it might come across as a little bit too, it may seem a little bit inappropriate because now something really heavy does happen in the middle of this kind of action movie, but it worked for me. I didn't have a big problem with that at all.
Well, before, you were the first person to actually see Escape from Mogadishu, and you were actually on the horn on the messenger asking if me and Eric have seen it yet. What made you really so excited about overall your thoughts on this film? Just from the get-go, you were really praising it right from the get-go.
Yeah, because from the get-go, this is a pretty straightforward kind of movie that we've seen versions of quite a few times, and Eric even mentioned a couple of those. So like a lot of movies from South Korea, what I really appreciate is that it doesn't adhere to kind of the standard plot structure. This actually has a lot of different elements to it. And like Eric said too, it could be a mess, but for me, it works. And this is one of those movies where you have a really good example of how the strength of the direction here is that you're able to follow the geography and follow what's happening this whole movie. And there's a lot of moving parts, but I was never really confused. I remember a couple times like, oh, that's that guy. Okay, now, oh, they're on their way from this place to that place. So I think that was masterful in setting up the stakes, setting up the specific goal, and then really getting us ramped up to follow that step, almost like a video game in that way. It wasn't, but I mean, you know what I mean? That you like, this is our stage. We have to get from here to here. It's going to be dangerous. Can we make it? And then on top of that, really incorporating a lot of interesting interpersonal dynamics, both politically by having disparate people have to team up. That creates an automatic, interesting tension. And then there's families there too. That's the thing I didn't expect when I started watching it. I just thought, oh, this is going to all be diplomats. Well, it is, but their families are there too. So that's a whole element too. I just thought it was really effective, broad entertainment. I think anyone would have a good time with this movie.
The only caveat, the only warning I would give for Escape from Mogadishu is not just the violence or the action, but if you do not like your movies tense as uncut gems, if you don't want to be tense for the running time of the movie, maybe just take a chill pill, because this is, Eric, do you agree? Was this a tense movie for you, Escape from Mogadishu, a little bit on the tense side?
I should also mention, just a warning to any children watching this, books are a last resort to use as a bulletproof, just bulletproofing a car. If you have to, fine, use it if that's all that's available, but don't be holding books up to yourself and letting your buddies shoot at you, because it could work, it might not, but
can we all agree that as a final act, this really paid off?
Yes, totally paid off. If you had a car, Eric Holmes, would you for Bulletproof, would you put all of your DVDs on your car, or would you put all of your books on your car? Which one? Or neither?
Well, I mean, the DVD isn't going to stop a bullet. I may as well paint it one extra time. So I guess of the two, you'd have to go bullets, but
okay. So that is, again, Bruce, to your point, very effective ending. The whole movie, strong marks, really love it. Honestly, even on a superficial level, Eric Holmes mentioned filmmaker Michael Bay on this thing. If you don't even care about the politics, if you don't care that it's based on a true story, just on a escapist fare level, this movie works. So
And
at a
much
base level.
better, much better than a Michael Bay movie.
Exactly.
I'm just going to delete that. Michael Bay is an auteur. Let's move forward. I won't delete you on that.
Lenny Riefenstahl was an auteur too.
Yes. Oh, very cool. But goes back to the
Had to get the Nazi in here. Now all we need is a monkey.
and yes, it goes back to Bruce's intro. Okay, so again, I was going to say that is Bergman Island. I have Bergman Island on the brain. Escape from Mogadishu on digital, October 19th. Just remember, folks, October 19th. Download this puppy. Is it worth a digital rental, guys? Yes, strong recommend.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.